Hi everyone! If you don't know me, I'm Courtney. I wanted to make this video to share how I use Procreate as an ESL teacher in Korea, and yes, it's awesome. Let me start out by saying that I'm not good at drawing. I've always loved art and practiced many mediums. My two favorites have been fluid acrylic and linoleum printmaking, but I have never been good at drawing. I'm not an expert. I basically just make it up as I go along. I make a lot of mistakes, and I am still learning. I only bought my iPad just this year. I had wanted to try the Procreate program for years, as I had been super interested by artists using it and posting on Instagram. The lines look so smooth, and the aesthetics that some of these artists have are so inspiring. It's amazing what you can make with Procreate. The thing that made me hold off on buying an iPad was the price. I bought my iPad Pro 2 and the pencil used for 600,000 won, or about $500 US. It came with a case and screen protector. The pencil had been chewed up by the previous owner's dog, but honestly I don't mind. I actually think it's pretty cute, and I feel happy that the puppy got to have a good time that day. The Procreate app is super cheap. I think it was 13,000 won, or about $10 US. On Procreate, there are so many different brushes. You can use watercolor, acrylic, pencil, chalk, and basically every supply and every color under the sun. You can even move independent parts of your canvas, use different layers, and undo and redo your work easily. I've spent a lot of money on art supplies over the years, so I am pretty happy with the price of the app. I would have willingly spent a lot more actually. I originally bought my iPad for personal use and drawing. However, I quickly realized that it was the best teaching tool, in my opinion, for ESL. I teach elementary school students in a small town in Korea. One of the most difficult parts of my job is finding or making worksheets and activities for my students. There are materials out there, but they never fit my boat perfectly, and I also don't want to spend any money that I don't have to spend, whether my own money or the school's budget. I started making word searches, fill in the blanks, matching games, comics, and so much more. My students love that I make all of the material for class. I even add a little note at the bottom that says made by Courtney Teacher, and they always point it out. It feels so personal, and the students, teachers, admin, and parents have made comments about liking the material. Anyways, on to how I make the actual sheets. First, I will show you word searches. I used an online program to generate a word search so that I could trace over it to copy the spacing. In this video, you can see that I accidentally traced over the image that I inserted and had to delete the whole thing and start over. It was so disheartening when this happened, but at least I learned a valuable lesson. I use the same template for every word search I make. It helps save time and makes my life easier. I just move the letters around. As for the word key, I copy the letters from the word search and drag them over to the side. That way the font looks the same. Word searches are probably the least time-consuming thing I make now. As far as the word search answers, I just make another layer and make the answer key on that layer in red so that I can just duplicate the whole canvas and delete the answer key after. In my opinion, I also think it's important to have a congruent theme with your work. Like I said earlier, I am so inspired by people's aesthetics in their art, and I want to develop my own style over time to be recognizable, so I also make a header and footer which have changed over time. Next, I will show you matching activities as well as fill in the blanks. Sometimes I do these on the same worksheet, and sometimes I do them separately. I take vocabulary and key phrases from each lesson to help the students reinforce that knowledge. For example, in this first matching activity I made, I drew an earth, light bulbs to signify turning off the light, a strawberry, a bicycle, and a calendar to signify the days of the week. The students are to match the picture to the correct word, and I also included directions in Korean, which I plan on not doing once the students are used to the directions in English. I draw these on my own, and sometimes this can be really time-consuming. Like I said, I'm not very good at drawing, so I usually have to look at reference pictures and then run the images by my boyfriend to make sure that other people can tell what I'm trying to draw. If you didn't notice, I also pasted in the bicycle from a previous worksheet that I had done. As far as the fill in the blank section, that's pretty self-explanatory. I just choose the key phrases that seem the most interesting to the students or most helpful, put them in, and leave blanks for them to fill in. Just like the word search, I create another layer, and I use that layer with red colored markings to make an answer key, which I can delete so that I can have the blank template to give to the students. Comics are the last thing I will show you today. These are my students' absolute favorites. I think my poor drawing skills actually add charm to this activity. The students get super creative here, and this is probably the time that I have the most class participation. I like to do a comic for the end of every chapter, as it is a nice way to let the students use the knowledge from the entire chapter to make a short story about something that's interesting to them. And of course, they take full creative liberties when doing so, which can get pretty outrageous. There's not much to explain here. I just draw a little comic of some characters using vocabulary from each chapter. I do reuse some of the elements in my comics to make it a bit easier on myself. Comics happen to be my favorite to make. I think it blurs the line between work and leisure. I really do enjoy making them, but it can be pretty constricting to use vocabulary from the book. Either way, I really do like making comics. I hope that I can get better and quicker at making them. Maybe in the future, I can make my own line of comics that I can sell in packs or books to parents that want to give their kid a fun activity to do while learning English. I also hope to open my own gongbubang, which means study room in Korean, or hagwon, which means academy. I think it would really set me apart to have my own materials on top of proven texts. It is never too early to start planning for the future. Anyways, turns out that making videos is 10 times harder than making these worksheets. I'm so glad that this hobby has turned into something really useful for me, and I hope that I can do more with this in the future and keep getting better. If you have any questions, please drop them below, like and subscribe if you want to. Have a wonderful day!